Good evening and welcome to the January 13th, 2020 Selectmen's meeting for the town of Ware. Will everybody please rise and have the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is public comment.
Thank you, Frank Campana. I have two questions for the board, which I hope you can answer them, will be willing to answer them. I had to wait till it was official. I watched the Finance Committee meeting last Tuesday, 7th, I think, and the high school was there to present their budget, and like I say, I had to wait till it was official before I could comment to the board, so time is not conducive here. They are going to propose a resource officer. Is the board aware of that? And was there any discussion from the police department to the Board of Selectmen?
As of this point, I can answer that, Frank, no.
Okay,
That's the first I've heard of it.
okay. From me?
No, from anybody.
From anybody.
Okay, well,
So the school, they're having a meeting with the school
It's
finance
fr-
tomorrow. Wednesday.
well, this is the high school. I have to.
Okay, well,
I
that's John Stark. No, they haven't approached us.
Right, okay, well,
Maybe it's with Henniker.
it certainly does affect the Ware Police Department, because that's where that officer is going to come from.
We don't know, like I said, it could come from Henniker.
Well,
We're going to have to pay for part of it.
We're gonna have to pay for part of it.
It's not, okay, hear me out, I'll try to be brief. Back around September, the police chief, Mike Sullivan would have I think a monthly coffee hour. And I went to that, and the school superintendent was there. And the issue of, or the item of an SRO came up, and she did respond that, yes, she was going to put one, the request on the ballot. And I'm glad the chief is here because he can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that he necessarily said yes, that he would, go along with that. But he did make the comment that he had an officer that was actually taking courses in Maine for that. So he knew about it. He was preparing. Well, I don't know if he knew about, from the superintendent, but he was aware of the issue. He was having somebody trained, and I'm just guessing it's probably the same officer that's been trying for the last several years, that would have been in that position. But if you recall, last year, as early as last year, that proposal was for the town, two schools, and all three.
Yeah.
But now, my point is, it's still going to affect the police department. And if it affects the police department, it's going to affect the budget somehow, all right? Now, the presentation last Tuesday from the chairman up there, it was going to be an $85,000 amount. Certainly, there's going to be reimbursement from the school, to the town. Ware's portion will be 2/3 of that $85,000. I think the split is still the same. A third of the population is in Henniker, 2/3 is Ware. So we're going to be responsible for, 2/3 of that. I don't want to get into a situation like I did with the revolving fund for the police department. I mean, that turned into a, fiasco from my standpoint. So we're going to get reimbursed from the high school, and I guess, again, without discussion, all speculation on my part, it's going to go, that reimbursement goes into the general fund. I guess that person's going to get paid out of, your, the town's account. The town's going to get reimbursed at some point in time, whether it's half a year or once a year, I don't know. And then that revenue is gonna go into the general fund. And, either the general fund or the undesignated general fund. And it's gonna become your money. And again, these are questions that I have in my mind, and you have guys, you're not aware, you haven't discussed. So, if it becomes your revenue, then, what are you gonna do? You're gonna give it back to the police department by some, financial means? Is it gonna come back to me as an offset, as a taxpayer? Or am I gonna pay the $100,000 for an officer, the total amount, and then, John, our portion, am I gonna get, double billed in a sense? So, I mean, I know it's confusing to me, but, nobody's discussed it at your level, and I have to suspect that it's gonna affect the police department. You're gonna, the police department, I think, and you correct me, I think there's still a position left to fill, I believe.
Two.
And-
Two.
Two. Okay. So there's two positions left to fill. There's a sergeant that's away on government,
Military.
military, all right, so, and he's gonna be away for, the last I knew, for quite a while. And then there's an officer that's, that got injured. He's on desk duty. You don't know how long, all right? Hopefully he'll be back on the road sometime soon. So you're down positions. This puts the police department and the board in a position to say, well, next year, even if you're down one position, with the military person, the proposal next year is to fill, a position on the police department for a full-time officer, because this person, I think it was either going to be the SRO, I think it was going to be for a 10-month period that they were going to be at the high school. And I will just say that the 2018 town report, there was an Article 6, and that was for an additional full-time officer, strictly full-time officer, for his disposal. The estimated annual sum increase of $100,656 for 12 full months. So, I just can't imagine it's not going to affect me as a taxpayer, you folks, and budgets at some point in time by having a resource officer, which I'm not asking you to endorse it or anything like that, but, the discussion, I did go back. I'm not good at it. I don't have the stick-to-itiveness. I did go back probably a half a dozen, maybe 8 meetings, your minutes, to look to see if it was brought up. I didn't see it. I didn't have the stomach to go back further.
Again, and as I said at the beginning of your public comment,
Okay.
you blindside us because we have not heard word one about it.
Well, I'm not blindsided.
Well, I mean, you're bringing it up like we know it. We don't know.
No,
Nobody
no,
brought it to us,
I asked you,
Just a comment.
Public comment.
so,
I
mean.
asked you politely.
I know,
if you
but
knew
I'm saying
about it.
by bringing that, we're blindsided. We don't know. So, I mean,
Okay.
that's it. We don't know. We haven't been informed, and that
Okay.
will answer your question, I
Well,
hope.
and then my other question, I guess, the other part of that is, do you think the board needs to be in on, the workings of, the SRO and the implications, the budget implications, which might be next year?
Don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
Don't know.
Okay. All right, thanks then.
Let me give a little background for what I
Sure.
know,
Yeah, Chris.
which isn't much.
Yep. Probably as much as
So
we do.
Frank was pretty much correct. Staffing was right on the money. But the first I'd heard of the SRO, yeah, the first I heard of the SRO position was when I was at the meeting with him. There's been no coordination between the schools and myself to try to set this up. This has all been their initiative. The only thing they've asked me for was about how much it costs for an officer for a year. The number they use is I told them that was fine because it wouldn't be anytime soon where we were able to fill that position regardless. Since the budget wouldn't be approved till April, you're only looking at 8 months, even if it's approved at that point. So, and that's pretty much all I have. No memorandum of understanding or anything like that. So,
Thanks, Chief.
yes, sir.
Anybody else for public comment?
Good evening, Richard Butt. I understand as well that the John Stock is entering into a contract with the Ware Police Department for that officer. It seems like it's gone to a point now where it's on the warrant for John Stock Regional High School. I understand that you haven't seen it, but there's got to be some intervention here, because if we can't afford to release a police officer because we're limited in our force, then somebody needs to be made aware of it. I know the board hopefully is going to discuss that and get together with John Stock, but gee, it got to this point where it's on their warrant and the board wasn't even aware of it. One other question: what's the allocation on the 2 cruisers that are on the warrant?
Where do they go?
Yeah,
How are they being
who are they being allocated to? What positions are they being allocated to? Who's going to get the
Let me take
cruisers?
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so same cruisers, outfitted different. One would take over my car. My car's at 168,000 miles. If the warrant articles aren't approved this year, my car's not going to make it until October of 2021, which would be the earliest we got a replacement. Currently, the ABS light's on. I've been ignoring that one, but other issues as well. But essentially 6, which is our Ford Explorer, rolls over to the ACO.
I understand that.
One of the Tahoes, which is outfitted for patrol, rolls in to replace 6. And then the other one rolls into mine, and the lieutenant will take the better of either the Crown Vic or the Taurus until we can get him a replacement.
Just a comment, kind of looking from the outside in. There's been issues with the Dodge Charger, ergonomic design issues associated with the offices, and they've been having some medical treatment as a result of that. Again, that was discussed at the meeting back in September. In my mind, I would think that the 2 vehicles would go to patrol officers and not to the chief, not one of those to the chief. I understand there's issues with the Charger, and to me, the people that are using the Chargers more of the time are the officers that are out on patrol. So I can't support the warrant article the way if that's how it's being allocated. If one of those vehicles is going to the chief, I can't support it. If it makes that big a difference. But I think both of them should go to patrol officers and make other adjustments within the department. I understand the Explorer is going to animal control. That's fine. But and that the lieutenant may need a new vehicle. But I think there's a workaround if the 2 Tahoes are given to patrol officers or for patrol positions. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Tom?
Just a couple of things in just relation to the SRO. I'm not speaking for the Finance Committee, I'm speaking for me personally, and that certainly is something that I would support. I think the high school needs an SRO. I don't know where you'll fall, I don't know what the logistics are of what's going on, but just as a general statement, I would, as an individual, support that because I feel it's important at the high school to have it. The other thing that I have is very brief. Later in the on the agenda, you have a discussion of proposed Class 2 private road policy and then a couple of other policies. Couple of them
Class 2 or Class 6?
Class
Class
6.
six.
Yeah.
Class 6, I'm sorry. Class 6. It seems like those might be planning board issues. I don't know, but just toss that out. But in any case, I would encourage the board, if there are changes in policies for either those or the facility use and so forth, to have a public hearing before making a final decision. I just think that they affect a lot of people in town, and that I would just humbly suggest that there be a public hearing on it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Anybody else? Nobody else, then the next one will be review and finalize the 2020 warrant.
There's one, pass it down. They're stapled so you can't mess them up too badly.
Good.
Last one you guys saw was December 16th, I believe. So this one's had a few corrections. You have to keep in mind that it's not gonna be finalized, because tomorrow's the deadline for warrant petitions. So we may see a few more articles. So what rumor has it, so. First page basically tells you when the first two sessions are, or I should say the first session, second session. The next one goes on, there's two corrections, or two planning board items. Article 2 and Article 3 are planning board that you don't need to be discussed, because that was already discussed at public hearing at the planning boards. So we start at 4. 4 is the operating budget. Everything is listed on the operating budget, proposed and default, all the way down through. You add up your totals, less your anticipated revenues, and you divide it by the net assessed valuation of 877,333, which is a number that you use to get your tax impact through the entire warrant. So, proposed is $3.83, default is $3.69. Because tonight's purpose, I just wanted to get it together. It won't be final. It can't be final until after tomorrow. I would add the petitions if we receive any to the bottom, and then we would have a final copy for the public hearing, which is next Monday at 7 o'clock. Article 5, we've come to a 3-year agreement with the police department for collective bargaining. First year for 2020, the estimated increase is $39,943. 2021, you see $16,904. 2022, you see $23,289. So then you ask the question of then to further raise and appropriate for the fiscal year, which represents cost, to increase salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that were paid at the current staffing levels. Tax impacts 5 cents. That 5 cents is based on the 39,943 divided by the 877,333. I can continue until you tell me to.
No, keep going.
Right. Article 6 is for non-union raises. If you remember, that's a pool of raises, represents everybody. At 3% is what I think we threw in there. I don't know
Yep.
if you finalize that. Now everyone's in the pool. Chris and myself are in the pool. I have not been in the pool for a while. Just out of the contract. So it looks a little higher, but it's for non-union town and library personnel. $61,832. 7 cents.
Okay.
Next one, we've already talked about with Benji. Benji presented when he was here. Article 7 is full-time DPW employee. But just keep in mind, all these little notes next to the article number are gonna disappear when it becomes finalized. It's too bad, but it does. Full-time DPW employee, this is for Benji to add 1 additional full-time to Public Works. It's $47,714, and it represents wages, taxes, and benefits for 9 months. And we'll go a little further by saying that if it's approved, the annual cost to the 2021 budget would be $63,749, representing 5% impact. If you have any questions, Benji's here.
No.
Other than that,
No, I think we've discussed it pretty much.
okay.
Unless he-
Article 8,
unless he's got
Bob
something
Vazina
else.
is not here. They have a meeting across the street. So if there is any questions, I'm just gonna ask that you hold them until he gets here. He
Okay.
was gonna come over after, although we've talked this one over and over with him when he was here. It's $99,158 to add 2 full-time firefighter EMTs. You heard him talk, his build-out is for 8. This is for the second 2. And this represents wages, taxes, and benefits for 26 weeks and certain one-time expenses. If approved, the fire department budget will be reduced by $35,000, and this addition will become part of the annual budget with an estimated cost of $178,314. The tax impact might be a little off, because I don't think I subtracted the 35. I didn't subtract the 35 cents. $35,000.
35,000.
Well, 'cause-
Don't bother with the 35 cents.
no, so that needs to be fixed.
Yep.
Now, this one, I think Brenda Cannon addressed last week, was the library additional hours. Basically, it's to raise and appropriate the sum of $12,249 of turning one part-time position into full-time and adding part-time staff hours. It represents wages and benefits for 8 months. If it's approved, it become part of the annual operating budget with an annual cost of $18,198. Moving on, Article 10 says fitness equipment. The Buxton left the fire department and the EMT department sum of money to be used by them. A couple of years ago or a year ago, there was some money requested for the same purpose. Shall the town raise appropriate sum of $10,000 for the purchase of fitness equipment for the fire department and fund this appropriation by authorizing the withdrawal of said from the bequest, Buxton Bequest Fire Rescue Trust Fund, zero tax impact. Article 11, we rolled 2 cruisers back into one. I think the first time, or after we met the first time, we talked about putting it separately, and then now we've rolled it back together. Article 11 says, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $106,200 for the purchasing 2 fully equipped police cruisers, with $37,500 withdrawn from the unreserved fund balance, and the balance is $68,700 to be raised by taxation. I think that I did the tax impact correctly on that for 68.7. I do think every now and then. Moving along to Article 12 is the 10-wheel dump truck. Benji went through CIP. This is one of his requests. You're gonna see this until we catch up. Making up for maybe the 6 or 7 years that we didn't get any truck. So this is to raise and appropriate the sum of $220,000 to be added to the previously established highway truck and equipment replacement capital reserve fund for the purpose of purchasing a new 10-wheeler, purchasing a new
10-wheel plow truck.
fully equipped, 10-wheel plow truck for the highway department. Benji, is that correct? Fully equipped? Okay. Tax impact 25 cents. Moving on to 13, shall the town raise and appropriate sum of $86,500 to be added to the previously established highway truck and equipment replacement capital reserve fund for the purpose of purchasing a new large 1-ton truck for the highway department? I don't know how else you can describe it, 'cause it's really not a 1-ton. Not fully equipped, it's only cab and chassis, right?
It'll be equipped, fully equipped.
I think I put, didn't we put larger, a new larger?
Yeah, we call it the 1-ton, but it's a light duty.
It's more than a 1-ton, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be somewhere in the 19,000 GVW.
So like a 550.
We don't wanna be labeling it, because every brand has their own label.
Label.
Everybody's good off the bid.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe a new. Light duty? Fully equipped truck?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Tom, as long as people don't.
Well, light duty might put it into the smaller pickup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was
It's not a
thinking.
pickup, it's more than a 1-ton, though.
what's it about, like a ton and a half or something like that, 19,000, yeah, that's,
Well, I kicked around, I don't know what sounds the best. I put the GVW in, but it depends on who gets the bid.
Right,
yeah.
just like whatever you wanna call it, is everybody's got their own name.
Could put light duty 6-wheel dump truck, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fully equipped,
Light duty 6-wheel.
Light. duty, 6-wheel? Is it dump truck or truck?
dump truck.
It is, it'll be a 6-wheel, I think.
Dump truck or,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dump truck.
alright. So it's gonna say, for the purpose of purchasing a new fully equipped light-duty six-wheel dump truck for the highway department. Does that sound better? Still 10 cents, no matter what you call it. Bridge reconstruction is the same article. This is number 4, is to raise and appropriate the sum of $105,000 to be added to the previous established bridge reconstruction capital reserve fund for the purpose of erecting, repairing, and/or replacing bridges.
Now, is this the last year, or we got one
It's
more?
the 4th one, because
Yeah,
there's
so it's
been
a-
discussion at CIP is not necessarily call it the last one, because you're gonna have bridges that are gonna constantly need ongoing. Will you see it again at 105? No. But you may see it at a smaller amount, just to continue to put money away, because you don't just put them away and fix them and be done with them, it's always ongoing. So that's why I said it's the 4th, it's not
Fourth,
really the
yeah.
last.
But this should give us enough for the 20% if we go into that.
Yeah, that'll give you
80-20
the-
bridge.
The money that we talked about, but plans may have changed from the last time. Article 15, road reconstruction, sell the town, raise and appropriate the sum of $500,000 to be added to the previous established road reconstruction capital reserve fund for road reconstruction and resurfacing of roads with up to $208,497 anticipated to be received the state of New Hampshire Highway Block Grant pursuant to RSA 235, and the balance of $291,503 to be raised by taxation, 33 cents. Moving on to 16, which is from Park and Rec, is a engineering site assessment, which is the same thing I think you saw last year. Shall the town raise appropriate the sum of $19,000 for the purpose of having an engineering site assessment focus on the feasibility to develop recreational/athletic fields at Inison Field off Quaker and East Road property, then to draft and finalize site-specific master plan for recreational/athletic fields on one site. 2 cents. Okay, we as a board discussed the next one, radio communications. There's been some back and forth about the communications and the radio system that we currently have. There's a lot of ideas tossed around as to what to do, but I think we have to start somewhere. I think we talked about it as a board, and that we know Goffstown's gonna do some upfitting down there, but at the same time, if a solution comes up midstream that would improve our communications for our emergency services, I think that's why I know that's why we talked about putting $50,000 in there to start the fund. So, we're gonna create a new fund. So it says, shall the town establish a radio communications capital reserve fund under the provision of RSA 35:1 for the purpose of making improvements to the town's emergency services radio communication system and to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be placed in that fund. Further, to name the Board of Selectmen as agents to expend from said fund. Because it's gonna be a new fund. So if anybody looks at capital reserve funds, you're already gonna see $1 something in one fund, $1 in another fund. We need to close those out, but I'm not gonna close those out and put them into this fund, because if you close one and don't get one, you're out altogether.
Right, better to establish this one and
This
move
is
the
to
rest
establish a
later.
new one for the emergency services.
Yeah.
So that it's not fire, it's not police, not DPW, we're gonna make it a town fund. 18 is government building. There's 2 of them on here. One is for, this next one we're talking about is to do with the money to put into the existing capital reserve fund, plus the amount we received quotes for replacing one of our air conditioning units in here has gone, so we have to replace one, but they're gonna all follow each other from what we were told, and Sanyo's out of business, so I got a company to come give us a quote for the whole project, which was $65,500, and then we decided to put in 15, because your current fund has about $50,000 in it, and you'd always said you'd wanted to leave about 60, so. So 18 says, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $80,500 to be added to the previous established government building and maintenance capital reserve fund for the purpose of replacing the air conditioning units and adding additional funding for unforeseen projects needed on any town building, with $30,500 withdrawn from the unreserved fund balance and the balance of $50,000 to be raised by taxation. Tax impact of 6 cents. On to 19. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $34,000 to be added to the previously established Government Building and Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund for the purpose of fixing the rot on the returns, painting the window sashes, sign, corner trim, and reglazing the windows at the town hall? 4 cents. 20 is Cypre. You see this one every year, same amount pretty much. There is a project that they're looking at doing is some fencing. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for cemetery improvements and fund this appropriation by authorizing the withdrawal of said sum from cemetery trust funds Cypre account, 0 tax impact. Next one is fireworks, same one, same amount. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $6,500 for the purpose of purchasing fireworks for the 2020 Ware Patriotic Celebration? Estimated tax impact of 1 cent. 22 is the Forester account. 22 and 23, you're gonna see those were the same as last year. Couple wording changes. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to allow the conservation to secure contracted services with a licensed forester for forestry services, including plan updates, harvest layout, harvest management, forest inventory, invasive species control, land maintenance, related supplies not to be limited to signs, gravel, and gates, and other related services, and fund this appropriation by authorizing the withdrawal of said sum from the town forestry account. Tax impact 0. And last one is the conservation land. Shall the town raise and appropriate sum of $150,000 for conservation commission expenditure toward the purchase of new town forest land and fund this appropriation by authorization of withdrawal of that sum from the town forest account. Tax impact 0. Now you see the next article doesn't have a number because I anticipate adding a couple more after that, so. As it sits, you have 23 at the moment. So I know that was really a buzz through, but you'll talk about all of them next week as well. I don't know if you have any questions for Benji or anybody? Or Chris, while he's here?
I think we've,
Just-
unless he's got something he'd like to say. He looks like it. No?
Looks like he
Okay.
wants to say
No.
something.
Kickoff, isn't it, just now?
Oh, isn't that? No, 8.
Anything from our esteemed highway superintendent?
How about Tom?
Tom, you got a comment?
He looked like he did.
Okay, this time I am asking on behalf of the Finance Committee just for some clarification on Article 19, the article related to the town hall. I'm just curious as to whether or not, that seems like a low number for what's listed there for work to be done. Those windows are in terrible shape. I don't know what the work cost when the library had theirs redone. They had them all reglazed and the new chains put on in front of the lift, in place of the rope lifters and everything, but it was a pretty substantial amount, I believe. And then, if you add in those other things that are listed there, to me, it seems like a low amount. The second thing I had to ask is, Walker Roofing was supposed to do some of that. Did they bow out of that work?
They're the ones who gave us the quote for all that.
Oh, they didn't do any of the returns as part of their contract when they did?
No, all we did was the bell tower as part of that.
Oh,
We
I
didn't
thought-
do any of the
Bell tower and the
returns.
roof.
Yeah.
Yeah,
returns
I thought
like
at
that.
one point you were holding up some funding because they were supposed to have done something else as well.
No, it wasn't phrased as returns, it was phrased as something else.
Okay.
We learned. I learned what a return is. So we held money for something, but it wasn't a return.
But the other thing, Naomi, too, is somebody else may do some of that work on the windows, correct? Or haven't you,
Well, we'd have to put it out to bid regardless of
Right.
who, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Instead of that word. Chief Moore wants to change Article 11, instead of fully equipped, say fully serviceable.
These are different functions.
I don't have a problem with that.
What do you want to do?
Change it from fully equipped to fully serviceable.
Serviceable.
Oh,
probably a better term anyway. I have one question as far as the Article 15, and that's the same amount we get every,
No, we bumped it to
We
from
did
480
bump
to
it.
500 this year.
Right.
that's right. The Article 16 for engineering and site assessment for the Parks and Rec. I understand what they're looking for, but then it turns around to draft and finalize site-specific master plan for recreation athletic fields on one site. So it sounds like they're gonna dissolve all the other ones,
Yeah, I'm actually gonna reach out to Parks and Rec, because I
that's
received.
confusing.
Well, no, I received
talks to up
you're
here.
gonna see a petition article that's gonna be almost a duplicate to that, so, I saw the blank today. It's the one the Ware Athletic Club's gonna submit. So I think, and I was a big proponent of not confusing anybody last week, so I'm gonna see, they're almost the same article.
Well-
Other than, it's a little bit less money, and Ware Athletic Club is putting money down, so.
Well, like I say, it sounds like the part of the engineering study is to dissolve Inison and just go to one spot, one location at some future date.
Well, East Road's gonna be a while before you ever get there,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, why are we
Right.
doing the engineering study now?
I'm just telling you what was proposed for.
Because
during
East
the
Road is
CIP.
probably 10 years out or more.
Well, the road agent can answer some of that.
Nobody minded all that.
Right.
What do you
So,
think the life expectancy,
I mean,
without holding you to it, but roughly?
if they do one section of it, like half of it, say,
I think you ought to have a study, if you're really gonna build a ballpark down there, look into it, because that is a massive amount of dirt work down there.
it's gonna be a
If
long,
you're gonna make baseball fields, I think you're better off put diamonds out in a field. It's a field already.
Yep.
There's rocks out there bigger than this building out there, so. The blue wings dug around the shovel over, so. I'm gonna dig gravel till ain't none left to dig, so. That's the last gravel pit we got. I'd say 6-8 years I got left.
Think conservative at the outside? Any other questions or comments?
I got one, I guess.
Oh, I knew you
Well,
could.
it's been bugging me, but I don't have enough information to really talk about it, so I was gonna wait, but you know how frequent I am here, so. For the non-union raises, I know that we were figured at 3% was what was the average.
Yep.
And I know that there's union negotiations. In the past, the union negotiations have always been higher than the non-union. I hope that this year, whatever you guys agree to for the union employees, you match that with the non-union employees. Fair is fair. I mean, why is one different than the other percentage-wise?
Yeah, we.
I'm not saying to go back and cut anything from the union. I'm just saying you're gonna, in the past, it's always been much higher for the unions. And my shop used to be union, and they themselves voted it to non-union, and I've so far controlled a happy non-union shop. But fastest way to go from non-union to union is to show better favoritism for the union, so.
That's a decision this board has to decide.
I want to
because-
definitely make it very clear, I'm not suggesting to go back and cut anything from the union. I just hope that you match that with the non-union. And it's not just highway, it's people in this building and I don't know what fire is, but the library and whoever's non-union. So. That's all I have to say. And I don't know any numbers, so I wasn't gonna say anything, 'cause I had no information to back it up.
Thanks, Benji. Guess that probably covers part of the department head comments also.
Yeah, he brings up a good point though, because you're gonna have to have that answer.
Yep,
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's,
we brought that up last year.
yeah.
well, right, but what's been tentatively agreed to is a lot more than 3% for the
Right.
first year.
For the first year.
For the first year, right.
So do we want to do it across the board, the same amount for non-union this year? And then next year it would drop back to 3%?
That's
I think that's something
That's
we have
why
to
you guys sit in
discuss.
the big seats.
Yeah, I think it's something that has to be discussed,
I think you guys have to discuss it as a group.
definitely.
But, I mean, we can figure the pool at that, if that's what you want to do. To have that number.
Yeah, I think that would be a wise thing to do.
Beth, can you figure the pool out at that rate for the first year? We can have it ready for next week. You guys are gonna have to decide what you're gonna do. But for the public hearing, I guess you want me to leave this alone, obviously, for now.
Yeah, for the time being, till we get the other figures.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on the warrant?
Just a second option on that. Since well, just to make it more feasible, if you're gonna look at that, since the union is front-loaded with the first year and then standardized at years 2 and 3, maybe spread the non-union over the 3 years. So it's proportional. So if it's, and this is just rough, I don't know the numbers, if it's a 15% over the 3 years, that's a 5% raise versus a 3% raise.
Right.
That would be my suggestion, just to, so it's not all hammered at once.
Right. Okay, there's nothing else on the warrant. We can move on to
I
department
think
heads.
that's all we had for the warrant.
Yep. Department heads.
Until next week, when you'll get all
Benji's-
new ones.
Benji's already had his comment. Anything else from the chief?
You won't be able to come back next week and speak at all.
Oh, the chief? Oh, Ben? Oh,
Oh, no, he'll be answering questions, I'm sure.
yep. Okay, the next item is to discuss the proposed Class 6 and private road policy.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Benji's leaving too. Oh, those are extras?
What's that?
Is this what we talked about in the planning board?
Yeah.
This is actually, it's a proposal for input from us. It's gonna go with the building permits.
Yep.
So now, it's gonna be enacted with the building permits. So there's no more confusion, so,
Can I ask one question before I leave you? Would you allow?
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay.
You have to come to the podium, though.
Is there gonna be at least one copy of the police contract available for next week for the public hearing?
Depends if we get it all.
No,
I mean,
we
it's
can
not
do that.
100 pages, I hope.
Yeah,
No, 50. Just kidding. Yeah, we can have
at
that.
25 cents a copy.
Yeah,
Page.
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Frank will have to go out and get a part-time job if we're gonna charge him that much.
Have to
Now,
kill.
you need me for this one?
Well, I
I mean, it's have you seen the proposed one? It follows the one we talked about, the Canaan, the town of Canaan, and, you know, we went through it, the planning board, and they approved, basically went with it.
Is there signatures on that for all of them?
I think so.
Here's this one, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, we've got one that's not in there.
No, she'd take them upstairs.
Hopefully just trying to make things
Yeah,
a
there's
little
3 signatures. on it.
easier, so when somebody comes in, they can,
On this one.
this, you have to adhere to this too.
You got.
Maybe we can eliminate some of this
Yeah.
back and forth.
You know, by using,
I didn't even see this one.
No, I'm full agreement. I just didn't know if you had any questions. Anything's better than what we got. I'm telling you, out of all the headaches I have, Class 6 roads are the number one.
oh, yes. I think that's it, and, just a prime example, I don't know if you get the PW Net emails there
I
from.
think Joe's part of it.
Yeah,
Joe gets them.
yeah.
Where does this one go?
Yeah, they had a big thing about Class 6 roads, and I think there's 3 on there, yeah.
We've
there's
got 3.
yeah.
Okay.
The people running some pumps out on the Class 6 road near the junction of a Class 5 road and washing the road
You
out.
guys don't
you know,
follow directions well, there's 2 copies. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that publicly.
And,
It just, Class 6 I'm glad you're adopting something. So Class 6 just makes it real tough for us because we're responsible for them. It seems as in the past, we've never had no say about them. So how that makes sense.
yeah, and the statute is pretty clear that they're
It
supposed
is.
to come and talk to you and,
Right.
you know, go through the,
Then the whole hardship thing plays in. So whatever you got's better than, I certainly don't oppose to anything. So if you don't have any questions for me, I'll skedaddle. I just didn't know if you had any questions.
Have you seen this?
I breezed over it. I didn't word to read for.
Okay,
read
that's all,
for-
yeah, okay, because I didn't know if maybe we should.
We don't have anything right now.
no, not that's, I mean, the statute covers some of it, the state statute, but it's not enough.
Got it?
That people don't, there's a
Third
check,
time's a
this
charm?
checklist will be with
Let's
anybody
not
that
be
comes in and
fresh.
gets a building permit.
Yep, that makes my life easier.
And,
She just wants her
and
money.
it's gonna clarify it, so. That's- I mean, the discussion was far and wide on it, like I said, on, the Public Works Network. If Joe's got it, have him show you. I mean, even one of our I think he was a selectman, he's now a town administrator in a town just south of here. He even weighed in on it. I mean, because they're having problems, you know.
Well,
Every
it's a
town's got them,
problem.
except
It's a
Manchester, I
problem
think.
everywhere.
I don't think Manchester has many Class 6 roads they could have, but
I
I
don't
mean,
know. You'd be surprised how many we have. So.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm sorry, I was doing all of this, so what is our plan?
Well, it's been, like I said, it's been to the planning board, and it's been to the, and they looked it over, and then just, and I mean,
And then you
we don't
can
really
say-
have to do much about it, it's part of the permitting process, so.
So what's it, you know.
It sounds like
share-
Benji's okay with it.
Help share this arguments with the code enforcement.
Yeah, and that's where it's gotta go, to the land use code enforcement, Kelly, and she did it all up and sent it out to us, so.
Well, she's always on top of that stuff. So. Sounds good to her, it sounds good to me.
And,
All right.
Yeah.
you probably ought to make a motion on it, then I
Well,
guess.
the only thing is, Tom brought up a very good point. I mean, you don't, I guess you can adopt a policy, you don't have to
Well,
have a
it's-
public hearing, but if you wanna have a public hearing, you may. It's just gonna put you off a couple more weeks.
And like I said,
Well,
this is just gonna be.
I think on this, I don't believe we
No,
need a
I don't
public
think so.
hearing on this.
It's just gonna be part of the
Perhaps the town
permitting
hall
process.
fees where it's gonna impact a lot of people, but this isn't gonna impact.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
gonna, the town hall fees is gonna hold up, cause,
Yep.
we're being very limited in renting the town hall for that fact.
Yep.
There's people that wanna book it out all year, and we're only holding them and letting them do January so that we could get by this.
But we don't want to let people book for the whole year anyway, do we? I mean,
Well,
that
if you
Well,
Yes.
something like the,
Well, let's talk about one policy at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So,
Class 6 road, what are you gonna do with it?
I make a motion to adopt it.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
So you can drop it as written.
Yes.
Now, there was a blank in there for a town meeting date. which is March 7th of 72. Just so you know that.
Okay, so the next. The next item on the agenda is the review of facility use and town hall signage policy. This has got a copy of the old one. Back when,
There's a couple of copies of the old ones.
yeah, back.
And then I passed on to you Ossipee, Wolfboro,
Yep.
Swansea, Guilford. Those are really the only ones I had right away. I wasn't gonna spend a lot of time.
Well, I know the big, like we discussed in the past, the big thing is that, you know, it's a town facility, it's heated, it's you got lights, and we're not even covering anywhere near what it takes to do that. So, I mean, I know that was one of the big things that brought it up. Plus, I think the fact that well, we had somebody that was trying to abuse it, I guess you could call Felissa, and that was when we had, that sparked it a couple of years ago, was the guy with the farmer's market doing it inside, and he wasn't even local. And somebody else was signing off on him, and you know, like I said, then we find people using it, and it's been left a mess. It's been, you know, the lights have been left on, and I think we have to look at this in a different light. Not that we want to make money, but at least we got to cover our costs.
Well, the heat, I mean, the heat's not on all the, I mean, the heat is on all the
Yes.
time, but it's not up to the temperature that.
Well, it's
I
still
mean-
burning.
It's
still
at 60.
It's at 60,
Right.
and it's
Oh,
still
yeah.
burning
It really
fuel.
is too
Oh, I
cold if you're
understand,
trying
but
to
it
use
have
it.
to
You
anyway.
gotta put it
You-
to
if-
65.
If you try to go in there on a bitterly cold day,
Yeah, it takes
it's
a-
very uncomfortable
Yeah.
Right, it
to
is.
do it because
That
it takes
building's-
so long.
The building's not well
So
insulated, and it's a
you know,
big
I'm
space.
just wondering if it's maybe 65 in the winter and then it's down to 50 in the summer anyway, but
Yeah,
Off, summer.
Laura, it goes down to the bottom.
but I mean, it's not used every day, I guess is what I'm trying to
much.
say.
Pretty
Is
much
it
it
really?
is,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, the,
Oh, yeah.
the classes in
exercise
the
groups,
morning,
yoga.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's,
Yoga uses it, senior exercise uses it, almost every weekend it's used.
yeah.
You know, you have WIC that comes in and uses it the first Sunday of every month because they have clients that pick up stuff there.
Food,
Yeah, it's quite a few that, and then there's, you know, there's some clubs. The scrapbooking club uses it, you know, they'll use a weekend for once a month. Then there's an interest now in someone wanting to hold Zumba there, every Monday night and Wednesday night from 5:30 to 7:30.
Oh.
So, I think a good share of, part of the problem is, in not, so if you take a look at the, this 4-page one that has the whole, facility use,
Yep.
go down to, there's no parking in the front of the town hall. That gets ignored. So I think once you ticket them or tow it, that would wake up people. Because it's not fair to the residents that live there, and it's not fair to the fire department they had to get through. My personal opinion.
Well, it's posted no parking, so they
No,
shouldn't
but
be.
it doesn't matter, no
I
one
know.
seems to go through there. Town, school, town/school, let's look at paragraph 2, with town government, public events, including school plays, school dances, only fund-related school activities, Legion Hall, Historical Society, and other groups who use it, are at no charge. But for private events,
Oh, this one.
private events like the baby showers, there's private dances, there's all sorts of things. This is where I think the fee needs to be different.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
And if you look at some of these other ones that I gave you, it seems like $100 isn't out of the realm.
No, I'm
Keep in
looking-
mind, you don't have a kitchen.
Right.
but-
And some of these places do have a kitchen.
Right, they do. Milford does, or,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know if the fee, for an event is $100.
Yeah, I think like a baby shower or something like that, most of them are getting.
Well, we're having birthday parties, we're having baby showers.
I know I rented the Holy Cross Church one time, and that's $150, but
Yeah.
that has a kitchen,
That was a kitchen.
so.
My suggestion or thought on it, I guess, would be, was gonna go to 75, but have a $50 refundable charge for cleaning. If it wasn't clean, we'd keep the $50. If they did clean it up,
So
we'd
you,
give it
you
back
you
to
give
them.
them a rental
$75 rental.
75.
with
and then a $50 deposit.
Deposit for cleaning.
Yeah.
And if it's
And I
not
think that's
clean-
what we
Great
spoke
idea.
about
Yeah,
before.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay, so who's gonna determine what's clean?
Well, what are you doing?
Saying.
Yeah, we
I
don't,
don't, so I'm gonna
That's-
go over
that's-
there and say it's not clean, they're gonna say it's clean, who you gonna,
Well, we,
well, I think that's up
Okay,
to us to
what do you-
determine whether or not it's clean if they, upon inspection.
it
I
should,
mean, it's pretty easy.
Well,
You-
let's-
you know, you
it
walk
should
in and.
dry mop it,
Yeah, dry mop.
vacuum the rugs off,
Yeah,
and pull the garbage. And I mean, anytime
be
the
sure to take
Historical
the
Society
trash.
uses it, we do that. We dry
Yep.
mop the whole
I know,
thing.
and we've had the issue, I've been over there and used it, and, a couple times. Once, I had to go in and literally wash the floor. Murphy oil soap, the wood floor.
Yeah, it gets,
And because it was covered with food and whatever
yeah,
else.
whoever was in there prior to, yeah.
And another time it was clean and went back again, a time after that, and it was, there was trash left. And I went over, because the lights got left on, but somebody went and set it when I left one night here, and the lights were on, and when I went over there, nobody had emptied the trash. It was clean, except nobody emptied the trash, and neither of the restrooms were in the big barrel, and there was no paper towels and no toilet paper, so. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, we're supposed to
Trash has-
supply.
Yeah, we're
the
supposed
paper
to
I
supply
know,
towels.
but I mean, nobody notified anybody, and they were gone, so
Right.
I mean, so I'm just saying.
But probably
that's-
like once a
But
week.
the trash barrels in the men's and ladies room
Yeah,
was stuffed,
That should be,
overflowing.
that should be on the new use form, that
Yes.
trash has to be removed from the building.
Yeah,
right.
that has to be done because, I mean, we've always done that when we've used the building.
Yeah, I mean,
Picked up and put in a trash can.
Yeah, vacuumed everything.
somebody has to make sure that the thermostat's turned down, the lights are
Yeah,
off. and-
yeah.
I
All the
mean,
doors are locked. We do it,
Yeah,
we
maybe
go right
there
through
should
that
be a
checklist.
checklist.
Well,
Well, there is.
There
Okay.
is. Yeah, and we go through that when we use it.
Yep,
Yeah.
we've got a checklist, I think it's, is it in here?
But I don't have a problem with 75 and then an
And
extra
then
50.
Yeah, I
And
agree
if-
with that.
The problem is, if you put that in there, then somebody
only-
actually has to take a 5-minute run over there to check that.
Yeah. Well, is the other thing too that we've got to look at is, okay, are we going to do a fee schedule for charitable and nonprofit
I
organizations?
think you should,
Yeah,
I
sure.
think so,
I do
too.
too.
But
like
they have to,
Milford's,
Oh,
but, huh?
like Milford's.
Milford's has, you have
Milford's
to,
got the best, it says nonprofits charging a fee to attend their function will be charged a fee to use the
right.
hall.
If they're charging a fee, they get a fee.
Nonprofit groups requesting a room fee waiver must provide documentation of their nonprofit status.
Yeah.
I like that part.
Yep.
But then what do you charge them? This one here says $10.
For
Which one's
nonprofit.
that?
Our old one says
Our old one? I
nonprofit.
would say then you cut
it
it,
is Milford.
But it says those are charged a fee. I think
Will
if
be-
they're charged a fee
then they pay a
and
fee.
they're not, then they pay the fee of 75.
Yep.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. And if they're a nonprofit, then
If
you
they're
can
not-
waive it.
If they're not charging a fee, then you don't have them pay.
Yeah, 'cause no matter what we do, we're gonna confuse people for the first 6 months anyway.
Right.
Yep. But I think that, we've got to,
Because our current one says nonprofit groups such as church groups, civic organizations such as the Scouts, School Dances, Coffee House, there's a charge of $10. And then they get into a multiple user.
That's too,
Yeah, that's-
crazy. That needs to get changed.
The multiple user was like when they had the,
Well, no, the John Stark football uses it
Yeah.
to meet.
I know,
They have their meetings there once a month.
Yep.
So they use it 12 times a year. But they're a nonprofit, and it's just a meeting. We used to meet there when the library wasn't available. The library is becoming very full.
yep.
The library is much better than the town hall,
Wow.
because if you've got
Smaller
30,
groups.
if you've got 30 people, you freeze in the winter trying to warm the place up.
Right.
Right.
But I'm not sure what this was meant for if there was multiple users.
Well, I know that we have an event, at least we were having an event once a year, the Ware Historical Society and the library. But I mean, both of those would qualify anyway, but
Well, this
that's a
says 6
multiple
to
user.
10,
Yeah.
11 to 20, 21 to 30, and 31 and more.
Yeah, multiple
The
user.
only thing I don't know about is the senior exercise and the yoga. I don't know if seniors pay.
I believe they do, but I can
But is
find
it a
out.
nominal fee?
I don't know what it is.
What
I
do they
can
pay
find
for the
out.
instructor? Or,
Yeah, they pay so much. I don't know if it's $5 a class, or, I can't tell you. I'd have to verify it. But I know there was a fee, because I was gonna go up one day, and I got a phone call, and they had canceled it, and I had already asked, and I don't remember the amount. I'm thinking it was like $5 or,
Well, I think, as much as I don't, I think we should have a public hearing,
yep,
just because,
Well, there's money
I'd like to
involved.
hear from some that use it, because you're probably gonna pull out people that we're not thinking about.
yep. Well, and this is, revenue, there's money involved with it, so yeah, I would say we should.
But
have
even
a vote.
$10 a time,
I don't think that's gonna break them.
but a nonprofit group that has a meeting there is gonna be charged $120 when it's for the community children. You know what I mean? I'm
So
just looking
that would
at-
be a multiple.
I'm just looking at,
Well, I mean, if they produce, then we waive it.
The 501, they're,
If the
they're not charging a fee.
If they're not charging a fee.
fee, yeah, then
Yeah, so if you're having a meeting, you're not charging a
Charging a
fee.
fee.
right.
So then you're asking them to supply you with the nonprofit.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's C3 or C4,
Yeah,
a nonprofit.
Right.
You're not looking for a tax deduction anyway.
no,
And I just think you take away the multiple times and just leave it at $10.
Yeah, I'd take the multiple out. I'd just say $10 an event.
well, this one says
period.
what, private
Well, it
events,
gives it-
6 to, yeah.
Yeah, 6 to 10 times.
I think
or
Nonprofit
50.
groups such as, yeah, $10 an
It
event.
just gives if you're going to,
Well, I mean,
if you're gonna book it for.
that doesn't mean that we
each
still
month.
don't have, to with a nonprofit, that we still gotta clean it, so I mean, $10 is,
Well, I'm just saying, your multiple,
care of the heat and so
if
forth.
you get somebody that wants to book it for multiple, like, third Wednesday of every month,
yeah.
that's 12 months,
Right.
$120.
so it's $120. So if you're looking at 12 times they're gonna meet, it's $60 for the nonprofit. If you stick with the multiple times.
Yeah, okay.
So you gotta do one way or another, so you're either gonna do because I'm just thinking,
Well,
church groups, civic organizations such as the Scouts could use it every now and then, and it's $10.
yeah.
But if you've got somebody that wants to hold their meetings there, because there is no other place to do it, and they're a town organization, I'm sure they're nonprofit. This is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, well, Scout's a nonprofit.
Right, it's just to find the right person, to find the 501c3 paperwork. That's the only problem that you're gonna run into, because not necessarily is the den leader that's wanting to rent the town hall the same person they're gonna chase the insurance for, not the insurance, the nonprofit paperwork
Nonprofit
for.
paperwork, yeah.
Yeah, well, they can get that right from Manchester, so.
Yeah, I know, but if you're a den leader and wanna hold something, or I know
Yep.
a lot of times the football will get the kids together and they'll watch, the video from the last
Replays,
game.
right.
Yeah.
Yep,
So, but there again, so you want to remove the multiple times? That's what you're thinking?
Yeah, I do, because
Yeah.
I think they should, you know, if you got people using it, $10 a time isn't very much money. And if they're in there for a couple hours and you gotta heat the building up, you're gonna use $10 worth of fuel.
Yeah, anyway, and like,
Yeah, and I mean, I know we won't use fuel in the summer months, but it may help offset the fuel bill.
So so that's
the
pretty
winter
much more of, I guess I'll call it the town hall. But if you look at this form, I think what they tried to do a while ago was if you look at the application that's attached to it, it asks for town hall, ball field, gazebo, et cetera. So, does it pertain to all
yeah,
buildings?
facilities?
Yeah, because this talks of, it's a facility use form. But at the same time, on the back side, it tells you which ones require a
Liability insurance.
liability insurance.
Pretty much. Almost all of them.
No,
Right.
no, it just, if you look at basketball, baseball, carnival, concerts, film, junior athletic games, these are more field-type things.
Right, not
Sporting events,
softball, soccer, this isn't gonna be
right. So you get to the insurance part, when it says evidence of insurance. So somebody, say the girl wants to do Zumba, I'm sure somebody's gonna have
better have
insurance.
some insurance.
You better have some insurance, yeah.
So I think,
And I mean, something like that, we should have a copy of it.
yeah.
We should have a
Definitely.
well,
copy on
Primex,
file.
Primex allows you to do a third party with Tulip,
Oh, that's, yeah.
PYYP, if they don't. And we just had someone use it for a birthday party, but they had a band.
I
So
remember,
the
that's
band,
right.
they did give us, they went through Tulip and they gave us a liability
Yeah.
one. So that option's out there. Because there has been an issue, I don't know if anybody has gotten back, or it's gotten back to you. Now this building has 3 JPs in it. So we had an issue, I don't think it was an issue, I didn't call it an issue. There was a couple that came in on the 31st and wanted to get married after they got their marriage certificate. So one of the JPs in the building said that they would do it. And that this couple was gonna give them $50. So I said, well, wait a minute. If you're on your own time,
It's
it
one
doesn't
thing.
bother me a bit.
You can't get paid when you can't
Yeah.
double dip.
No, you
But
can't.
if you're on your own time at 4:31, you could do it.
Right.
Or you could do it at your lunchtime. That was my take.
Right, I think you're correct.
Yeah, and I think that's not only, that's ethical, that's the ethical way to do it. It's also, I'm not sure that it isn't exactly,
Well, it just seems,
maybe not
there's
quite border on the.
others in the building that don't agree with me.
Well, I think you shouldn't be
It's-
doing that. It's a service. They can come back at 4:31. That's how I look at that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like working a detail and getting paid to be on patrol at the same time.
But if you're an hourly employee, I didn't feel it was an issue.
No,
If they opt to take the lunch,
yeah,
They
then
want to
you
do it
can
on
do
their
it
lunch
then.
hour,
and they do it on their own lunch.
That's their own time.
or they want to
But
do
to do it
They
on
do it
company
at
time,
4:31.
yeah.
The problem that surfaced, or seemed to surface, was this building. Because it's in this building,
I don't see an issue with it.
that it belongs to the town.
So at 4:31, they shouldn't be doing it, or, is that what you're saying?
That's what the issue was.
Well,
What do they
the
do
thing
like at
is,
the bank?
What do they do? What?
no,
At the bank, because the bank has the same type of thing.
I don't think they'd perform a marriage
Yeah,
ceremony.
they're not doing marriages.
well, I
Oh,
mean,
it was like a
Well,
2-minute.
JP can't,
they have,
I don't think they're marrying people at the
Well,
no, I
bank.
know they're not marrying them.
Well,
but-
this was this
I
was
mean,
a
some-
Oh, an
2-minute
actual
ceremony. They
ceremony?
got their marriage certificate
Yeah.
and went and wanted to get married.
some,
Oh,
some,
okay. I thought this, I
12:31.
didn't real,
It was
okay.
12:31.
some city cities and city halls and
They
town
do it
halls,
there.
they have
Yeah,
a
they do it.
judge,
Yeah.
but they don't charge a fee. You pay your license fee, and then that's
Yep,
it.
and
And if
that's
you
what
want to
happened.
get married, you wait in line, and then you'll do your,
Right.
I mean, they do that in a lot of the big cities.
I'd say if they,
Yeah,
whoever
New
it is
York,
wants to do it
Boston.
on their lunch hour or at 4:31,
don't.
not be in the building. If the building closes at 4:30, for instance, it needs to be done, and they need to be out the door in like 2 minutes, because I don't know that you should be holding it in a town building.
But my argument to that was,
I
you
don't-
can use the gazebo, you can use the town hall, you can use any of our
Or use the front
facilities to get
stairs.
married.
Yeah.
The front steps.
You know what I mean? It's a catch-22.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
only came up with the one situation, or, you know,
Yeah.
because I think it was 12/31, they got their marriage license, they wanted to get married and be done with it. So it happened.
Yep.
My reasoning was, if you're gonna hold your lunch, an hourly employee doesn't get paid for lunch. So if they wanna
Right.
take their half an hour
For lunch.
when they showed up
Right.
and call that a half an hour
Yeah.
and take their lunch at the same
Yeah.
time, I didn't find it to be a problem.
No.
Nope.
The other thing was if it's 4:32, you know, if,
But
do
if
you,
it's-
yes, do you, yes, goodbye.
If it's
No.
9 o'clock in the
Out the
morning,
door, yeah.
yeah.
But you don't take
and-
your lunch, right?
And you're not, you know.
I think the reason, there has to be some sort of reasonableness, and I guess I felt I was doing it reasonably, but there's some that will disagree, and think that it's town money.
That it's
The other
town
thing
money?
is, this JP paid for her own JP. The town didn't pay for it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she paid for her own JP, just like I paid for my own JP.
Right.
because I'm a
Most
JP.
places they do.
Yeah, you guys pay for the notary, but I'm the only notary in this building.
Mhm.
But there's 3 JPs in this building.
Maybe we can all come up and take our vows again.
Not in my office, you're not. But I'm just saying,
Line 'em up.
It's funny, it's never come up before.
I don't know that it's ever come up before.
Right, 'cause I don't ever recall.
It may never come up again.
Right.
Who knows?
Well, I just would like,
I
do
think the
you
best thing
wanna
to do is
add
to go to the
some
gazebo.
certain- Do you want to add something? Do you want to leave it alone, or what do you want to do? Because if somebody wants to rent the town hall, now let's take us out of it. Somebody wants to rent the town hall, the gazebo to get married, or Chase Park. Happens all the time.
Yep.
They don't have to rent the gazebo, they can just walk over there and get married, can't they, with a
Some
JP?
of them have the space, they fit in for the space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because when you get over there, sometimes there's athletic clubs, depending in the fall,
Yeah.
doing exercise, I mean, and then what if it's, the weekend of the
Hold on.
patriotic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the facility use form has its place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it talks about town.
What if they
balls,
want to go
gazebos.
have a wedding and they want to decorate it and have their ceremony?
At the-
In the
yeah.
town hall,
I
yeah.
mean, when I got married, I did it at the gazebo in Sunapee at the
Yeah.
lake.
Yeah,
And had
I
to
can see
pay,
doing
Yeah.
that, yeah.
and had to pay, a fee,
Yeah.
and we decorated it,
Yeah.
and had to take it all down, and we paid,
So I guess what
Can't
I'm
remember the
looking at
amount,
is
but
if
we
they-
had to go reserve it and
I
pay the
don't
fee.
know how, I mean, and I'm not judging, but if they wanted to get married here just because they were here, I guess, I thought I handled it the best
I
way.
think- Yeah, I do, I think.
I think you did.
But do you want to include it in here? It may never happen again.
right now, I think that's,
I think it's kind of
personally, I think it's,
a waste of,
yeah, I think it's
it's-
getting too far, a little bit too far afield,
Well, I
for the
just,
time being.
yep.
If
Well,
we start having a run of them, then it's, I
Right, if we
guess,
start having a week-long every day,
but
Yeah.
I do think they ought to be doing it on their own time.
yeah,
right, so someone that's
Yep, but-
salary
you're getting paid to
is
do it.
not to do it here. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Because salary, you get paid
Yeah.
for here.
If you
you're here.
if you take an hour's vacation time and you want to go out, that's,
You can't though. I mean,
no,
not really.
no, but I'm saying, some places they.
Well,
want
they
to
can
do
go
that.
out, they can go out to lunch, they can go out in the parking lot and marry them out there.
Right, sorry. I didn't mean to get
Okay,
sidetracked.
so this was a
but
donation, because there's no fee for a wedding.
No, it's just they did
They,
did it
I
as
don't,
a
I
thank
mean,
you, I guess, right?
yeah, it's a thank you,
It's a little
whatever.
thank you.
Some people
Right,
pay
it's
for
a
the
donation.
JP, yeah.
Yes.
There's no fees for Justice of the Peace. per
I
se,
think you
for the
can get
wedding.
up to $50.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
I think you can.
you can, but there's no set,
There's
it
no
doesn't
set.
mean you have,
That You're going
I
You're
know
not
people that
tied
have done
into
it for
a fee.
nothing, yeah.
yeah. But there is a limit on it, of 50?
I think it's $50 when I got mine.
It
I read
was,
through it.
when I had mine, it was,
Yeah,
I didn't know, I was,
you know, they'd say, how much to charge us? I don't know, I never
Benjamin,
charged.
isn't it, that was called?
Yeah, I never you know, I says, you know, the thing says $50, but I said, I don't care. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not,
are you a JP?
I was.
Oh, you're not anymore?
All right, I just thought I would bring it
Retired,
up.
I didn't-
I know, because we were discussing it, and the person that I spoke with said I would mention if you wanted to add it, because we were talking about facility use. I just think it might have been a one-time thing, and I
Well,
did the best
Yeah, I think
that
you
I thought,
did fine
because
at the time.
if you're not getting paid for your lunch or after work,
Right.
I mean, I think to turn around and do something while you're getting paid to do a specific job or to do something other
yeah.
than that and then take a fee from it, I don't think it's ethical, and I don't think, you know, if it's during a regular company time.
right, so this, because anytime we get something for a ball field, we give it right to Parks and Rec.
Yep.
Because they're the ones that do the schedule for the ball field. But, the town hall and the gazebo area
What about Chase
Um,
Park?
and Chase Park, I think Chase Park, I gotta talk to Parks and Rec, probably them, the gazebo area.
Well, I know they were coming here at one point to get the paperwork.
I think
for
there's
it.
some, that can be worked together on that between Karen and Park and Rec now, you know. This basically, the most we ever do with it is the town hall,
Yeah.
really. So can we go back here? So the private events would be 75 rental
Yep,
and a $50 refundable deposit for cleaning.
yep,
Yep,
Nonprofit groups, we're gonna add the nonprofits charging a fee to attend their function. We charge a fee for the hall,
yep,
and that fee for the hall would be 75,
yep. If they're
okay?
charging a fee, then.
Nonprofit groups requesting room fee waiver must provide documentation of their nonprofit. We'll do that,
Yeah.
yep.
okay. I didn't see in there stuff about a room fee waiver. I think it's just maybe a letter.
Oh, Milford's?
Yeah, Milford, and then they said at the end of the event, be responsible for the collection of all rubbish generated by the function.
Yeah,
I don't see that on here, honestly.
you ought to add that, because
Yeah.
we always, when the Historical Society uses it, we always clean
What's the
it.
biggest, yeah, I know Milford also has a requirement for police officers if it's a party over so many people, but I don't think our building holds 200.
We don't have parking
No.
spots for that.
We don't have that, no.
We don't have the parking spot.
You know, probably average, you know, a big party, probably 100 people.
Yeah, it says in here that the leasee shall, at the end of the
It's
event, be
here.
responsible for collection of
Yeah,
all
she ran the
rubbish.
number.
Oh,
And the survey says,
That scared you, didn't it? Yeah. About double.
That's that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I don't agree with it.
So then Chief Moore's suggestion was to take the total divided by 3 years, comes
Right.
out to 4%.
yep,
And you,
4% 79.
and do the same for the
That's a
police.
little more palatable than,
Yeah.
And do
I
the,
don't think you
Six
can do
figures.
this. We've already,
Oh,
we've
that's-
already come to an agreement.
yeah, we've already.
I
got-
did like his suggestion, because that suggestion crossed my mind, I think. Did I talk to you about it? Or was it Benji I was talking to?
About what?
Doing what he did, because the fairness is gonna come in, and I think we probably had this discussion, the fairness.
yeah, we've had that discussion
Well,
last year.
just-
Oh, I
Just
know.
over the 3-year period, it's 12%.
Yeah.
So when you divide that, it's a
12.
4%, 4%, 4%, to equal out, even though theirs will be more upfront the first year.
Right,
Yep,
That 4% is 79,275.
79
Versus
from
61,
61.
yeah.
okay.
so
That's
they get a 4 this year, 4 next year, and then 4 the year after.
Yeah,
Yep,
The non-union.
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 Yeah,
and
non-union.
that'll be in line,
So it'll be
eventually it'll
basically
catch
good for,
up.
good for 3
it'll be
years.
79 what?
79,275 is the 4%.
Yep,
I don't know if you
Yeah,
wanna-
And the tax
Yeah.
impact will be what?
yeah. I don't know
All right,
about,
she said she had to wait anyway, so she did that number for me.
I don't know how
Did she
everybody
give you the
else,
tax impact?
I can
No?
do that
Well,
one second.
speak your piece.
I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I think we should change it to that.
I do too. I don't think it's,
No?
I think it's gonna be
79, 480?
No,
275.
75.
Should I do with mine that I wrote all over?
Wait a minute,
79,275.
79, two, yeah, okay.
75.
275, okay.
Tax impact is,
And this would be good for 3 years, right?
Yep, 3 years,
So the non-union raises, we're gonna do it the same way as the,
same way.
So if it passes, we don't have to worry about that
9
article for
cents.
2 years.
9
9
cents.
cents.
So 9 cents.
so it only goes up 2 cents, so 9 cents.
Yeah,
So we don't have to worry about that article again for 2 years.
I don't know that you're still gonna have, I think you gotta put, I'll ask Laura that. Are you thinking about putting it on there
yeah,
Yeah,
for 4% for every year?
for 3 years.
for 3 years.
I think you have to put that warrant article on every year.
I'll
You're
check with
tying the
Laura.
hands, you're tying your hands. I don't think you can. We don't have a contract.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think you have to put the warrant article on every
Every
year.
by
year.
another board to it.
Yeah. So if you
Can't do it.
If you agree to the concept, the few of you that, whoever stays on the board has to remember that, which we'll make note of, but
Right,
I don't think you can't put it on there for 3 years.
right.
You can explain that the palatable way, or you felt the palatable way of doing it was
Yeah.
this
Yep.
12 divided by 3. But this year you can only talk about 4.
Yep.
I guess that's a discussion we'll have to,
Have to have again. Yeah, so we'll have to.
and it'll be a
It'll pass
discussion.
down for
It'll be a discussion next week.
It'll be passed down for 2
So
more
you want to
boards.
do the 4 for this
After
year and
this.
see where you go?
Yep,
All right, I can fix that. I just can't find what I wrote on. Anyway, because I had this one open.
okay.
So, I'm sorry, so back to, we're good with that, and I really think we should have a public hearing.
Yep, no question about it, we should.
So, with that being said, let me just toss something out at you. We got people waiting in the wings, so. So, February 3rd would be your public hearing,
Okay,
just because I can only get it in the paper Friday. And I think we have to run it, and the only thing I can do is run it in the messenger. We'll put it on the website, we'll put it on everywhere we can put it.
yep,
February 3rd, what day is that?
February 3rd is a Monday.
Oh, it is Monday, okay.
Monday, 2, 3. And what I would do is I would also let the multi-people user come in, so unless we're missing something.
yep,
You know what I'm saying? Unless there's something that we're totally overlooking for some reason. I'll make some corrections to the facility use form,
Yeah.
so we'll have it.
Yeah,
I just think where there's that many people involved, because there's a lot of people that use it,
Yep.
you know,
yeah, there is.
more than I think some people realize.
Well, there's more times than not, you go by, there's always cars there.
Yeah, no, there is. I'll be honest with you, it's been used, I think it's a good place for a shower. You know, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Right, it is.
We've
It
had
is.
baby showers there.
baby
and,
showers and
you know, you can get up
birthday
and you can go
parties and-
mingle while they're still
Yeah.
doing theirs.
Yeah, yeah.
Been there, done that. All right, so at that point, we make changes, so,
Okay,
February 3rd. I'll pick the time, I'll have to look at what's on the calendar upstairs, I don't think there's, so, but not, I don't wanna go away yet. So we had this form, town hall sign, there was a single document of backside.
Yeah.
It's called the town hall sign, usage, rules and regulations.
Yep.
I don't know that honestly we've used it, other than we've kept track of a calendar for usage. But it actually gave some pretty good guidelines, I thought. And the $10 deposits required by everyone utilizing the sign will be returned when the letters for the sign are brought back. Individuals, organizations who sign out letters and are not returned will be billed the cost of replacing the letters, if it's greater than $10, which it would be. First options given to the individual yeah, you got it right there.
yep.
The
Oh,
individual or
sure.
organization who's renting the town hall for an event. That's always been,
I don't have
Um,
that sheet.
you should have a single sheet, yeah. The first option's always been given to the renter of the town hall.
Right.
Right,
And then since the building used on a lot, it doesn't, not necessarily, it is a lot of times on a daily basis. The event announced must take place prior, event announced must have taken place prior to the next announcement being placed on. However, The sign's large enough to allow 2 lines for each side per event. Typically, we share the side if there's 2 things. It depends on what it is. I think that's a judgment call. If there's no interest renting the town hall, the town committees and/or nonprofit have second option. So that's honestly, it's really, if you, so what happens now is if somebody calls and wants to use a sign, first of all, it can't be for profit, it's for, to be for nonprofit. Second of all, if someone's renting the town hall, they get first option, so that person could get bumped.
It can't be for profit, so if somebody's
It just
having an
says
event and they're charging people, or they're making money at this event, they can't use it?
It says if there's no interest by individuals or organizations renting the town hall to use a sign, town committees and/or town nonprofit have second option. So we'd have to
What's the
define
sign?
town committee. And then it says no announcement shall be left on longer than a week. I don't think that's necessary because we've got nobody using the sign now and our deliberative and primary is up there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's a little, I don't think that's necessary. I'm gonna cross that out because it shouldn't be left longer than a week. I
Yeah.
mean, right now it's gonna stay on until February something.
Right.
Sign up for the use of the sign will be done on first come, first served basis with 2 lines being given per announcement. I guess that would be a judgment if you had same people for a lot of things.
Yep.
Typically, that's not a problem. No organization committee will be allowed to monopolize the use of the sign. Use of the sign is to promote a for-profit is not permitted. It's the responsibility of the individuals to set up and remove announcement. Letters are available in and must be returned to the selectman's office if announcements are left up beyond a week. See, I don't like that either. Privileges are suspended. I think you have to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it says the Board of Selectmen has the right to remove announcements in order to use a signboard for a town meeting. Board of Selectmen has the right to remove any announcement that's deemed inappropriate. So basically what I'd like to do, and we've started this now, is you fill out the name, the address of the organization and the dates that you want it used on the bottom.
Yep.
And then when you flip it over, when you write down the sign, then I always had, we've been checking letters so that we get them back. We have a lot of letters now, but it's pretty quick to lose one here and there. And then I had to go and order punctuation. I don't know why punctuation disappears. Punctuation disappears. And we didn't actually have, somebody wanted an @ sign for an email address. We didn't have one of those, so I got a couple of those. But I think this is, we're gonna go back to using this, just because
I
It's
agree.
a good idea.
well, and then all you do is take and write it out and then count that letter, how many A's, how many B's,
Yep.
you know, and then we can put it there. I just think that's, and then they all know the rules,
Yes.
Yeah.
So there.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
if
when you
that's
give
all
them,
right.
if you need the letters, when you give them to them, here's your stack of letters, not the whole box with all
I
the
don't do that.
letters.
They come and pick their own letters.
They do pick them?
Well, it says, it's responsibility of the individual to set up and remove their announcement. Letters are available.
Well, I'm just saying, you give them the packet with the letters in it for what they need.
No, they can, you know, they can sign up for it.
Yeah.
And I suppose if we had a second, we could pull the letters if we knew I needed 17 A's, 13 B's.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But I'll be honest with you, that's a very difficult way of putting up letters.
okay.
You can count them all, but when the person comes in,
You
I know
should
I've
write
done
it out, it's
before.
much easier,
You just pull your letters and then you're standing over there instead of
trying to find the
trying to
friggin'
put
letters.
in, like
in.
if you give them, here's your A's, B's, C's in order, just so.
Pain in the
Right, then they have to,
So, I think we can make
Okay.
this conversation as well both nights as part of
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, perfect. All right. Okay, thank you. One set of minutes.
Okay, next is the approval minutes for 1/6/2020.
wait a minute,
That's
the
not,
wrong thing.
that's not where I wrote it. I'll find it.
Anything on page 1?
I don't have anything.
No.
No, I don't have anything.
What about page 2?
Page 2, the first sentence in the second paragraph there.
Okay.
Purchase order upfit for the purchase.
You want to put those together?
Yeah,
It won't, I don't know.
It won't hyphenate. You
No.
can't. I know.
Well, no, it didn't like it. It spell checked it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. I said the same thing when she
Usually
did
a
it.
hyphenated
And
upfit.
same thing happened to upfitting.
Yeah.
It broke them together. It broke them apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to put a hyphen and see if it works.
Just leave it. I was kind of hesitant on that one
Yeah,
anyway.
well, no, when we did it, it broke it out to that, which was kind of weird.
The paragraph that starts with town administrator, the third line down, Board of Selectmen agreeing to,
Agreed to.
Agreed to.
So-
Further
in the Board of, it doesn't read right if you read it out. Resulted in the board, agreed to,
Further discussion.
agreeing to,
Agreeing to.
Agreeing to.
ING.
ing.
Yeah, it doesn't read right.
And then in the next paragraph,
Yep.
the sentence starting with board concluded to establishing a new radio communication capital reserve fund in the amount of $50,000.
Yeah, the board. It should be
Yeah.
The board.
The board agreed to it.
Because this sounds like there's a capital reserve fund already there, not a new, you know what, and there's 3 of them.
So you leaving the comma?
Yes, sorry,
And
yes.
then board concluded to establishing a new radio.
Communication capital reserve fund,
In the
Capital
amount of
reserve fund.
$50,000.
$50,000.
okay. And that's all I had there. And
Page 3.
I didn't have anything.
Page 4.
Yes. I think the rest is
Yeah,
okay.
the rest is okay. I didn't have it.
Make a motion that we accept the amended minutes for 1/6 of 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
You should have the manifest in front
I've
of
got
you.
it right in front of me. Next is the manifest.
Yep.
To order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated January 16th, 2020, as included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest, $53,311.31 for weekly payroll. The 2019 accounts payable manifest of $51,364.84. The 2020 accounts payable manifest in the amount of $17,929.49. The Ware School District manifest of $300,000. The John Stark School manifest in the amount of $250,000, for a total of $672,605.64. Do I have a second?
Second.
second.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
Administrator.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, we did get another taxpayer to pay off, and repurchase
The property.
the property, so I will have you sign that down there. Okay, and then I don't know if, I have a couple letters of resignation. Do you want to say them out loud?
Yeah.
What do you want to do now?
Well, you can receive somebody's letter of resignation.
Yeah.
So I received, both of them are dated January 6th. First one is from Lee Marcroft. It says, "I, Lee Marcroft, am no longer able to perform the duties as treasurer of the library trustees. I therefore submit my resignation from the library trustees effective immediately. So if you remember, a couple weeks ago, they asked for an alternate, which is why. So, Lee, any of you didn't know, Lee was a selectman for a while. I filled in for a year, and he's done a lot with the library, but I guess I want to thank him for his service.
Yeah.
So, the second one, same day, we received from Officer Allett. She tendered a resignation as an officer of the police department effective the 6th. Again, I mean, I wish Sheila the best.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Thank you for her service.
Thanks for the time she was with us, but we alluded to the second opening tonight, so I figured that was gonna be,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
So, I wish Sheila good luck and next move. Now I'll move on, because all I have are these two. So my next is, let's just do, doesn't matter, neither one of them had a whole lot of changes. The administrative part of it, don't really, the only thing you do, I gave you a capital reserve, which was the year end, the funds on the capital reserve funds. I think I stuck it in each one of your mailboxes.
Yep.
It was for December 31st. Had the 2019 balances at the end. Class 6 road, you discussed, and we did one more off the agenda tonight. We did that policy, so we can take off 8. Now, next Monday night, starting at 7 o'clock, we have the warrant article, and we don't start until article number 4. And obviously, we won't go as fast as I did tonight, but I just wanted to at least get it out there, and I'm sure we'll have everybody back, again, which is all it's made for, plus we'll have whatever we know about for, warrant articles or petition articles due tomorrow. I did want to add one thing to this. I didn't put it on here before. I think I sent you all an email. The meeting to finalize, or the recommendations from the Finance Committee are going to be done at their Wednesday 22nd meeting at 6:30. We were going to try to get it done this week, but a couple things happened. First of all, the public hearing for the school district is the same night, so they all wanted to go, which I think is great. The second thing is, part of me was, I didn't think of it at the time, but part of me felt like after the public hearing would be better, because after the public hearing, after it's closed, you guys can still change your articles, because then the following Monday, you have to sign it, and I have to run over and post it at the school.
Right.
So I felt that if things were gonna change, it then doesn't create confusion. Then you'll be able to have like a once and done for them for Wednesday.
Okay.
A lot of the articles have been seen by them. They, the department heads have all gone over their articles, so. I just wanted to add that about the finance in case. I know, it's just gonna be a discussion, you'll listen to them discuss more than anything, so. Deliberative session again is Saturday, February 8th, 2020. Crawling right up on us, though. Obviously, radio communication is open, I don't have anything new for this evening. And it should be a normal, I was going to be leaving, but seeing how there's no snow, we're gonna stay. So, my week is normal. We were gonna take off, but the grass is still green there too.
With all the rain we got.
Yep.
The warm
And more
weather.
tonight. So the government building ones were really kind of, I will tell you one number 4, Tim did catch up with me. He came on Friday. He looked over, upstairs, and he's gonna put together a number, but he's also gonna provide me a number that was mentioned tonight about reglazing. But it still would have to go out to bid.
Right.
Right.
I still,
Yeah.
it would be, And then we've kind of not gonna do the propane tank, we
Yeah.
pulled it off.
Yep.
I was told there was a letter that went out to the East Road, but I don't think I printed it off to share it with you.
It was open on
Yeah, it's
Sunday
been
morning.
open, so I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Mm.
just
Yeah,
so you know.
so I'm
I've
thinking that,
noticed it.
there's been overhearing of our meetings, so.
Mm.
So I honestly didn't have really any other changes
Yeah.
to that, because we're kind of
And
in
this time
limbo,
of year,
waiting
yeah.
for some money.
Yeah.
Or projects. I don't have anything more
Yeah.
than that.
Any correspondence or other business?
Naomi, on that one, the property,
Mm-hmm.
did we get more money or is it part of the previous? Or what
I'm
is
trying
it?
to think.
Okay,
More money.
this is part of what?
She paid back, this is the last one. She's redeemed them all.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's what
This goes back to 14.
2014?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she paid
if
up-
I'm right, then who I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so she's, okay.
Like 32? Like 30,000 maybe? I don't remember the amount.
Is this the
I-
property, some of it was in Riverdale and some of it was up?
Nope. No, this piece of property was on 29 Putney Brook.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Yeah, so, but she paid back from 14 all the way even through 19s.
Wow, great.
Okay,
Because 19s have already been billed, so.
yeah,
So 19s were added to the bill.
okay. Cool.
Yep.
Just a question under other business of correspondence. Any word from our hearing on?
Yeah,
Superior
Laura
Court?
said she got it, but she was gonna forward it me, but I don't have it. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes,
Yeah.
that hearing though, we do have an answer. She didn't tell me the answer, but she said she'd forward for me to read. And she didn't yet. I'll have to remind her.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
When you said hearing, I'm like, yeah, no.
yeah, okay,
know what you're
that's all I had.
Yep.
I know you're busy, Naomi, with the budget and everything. I don't know how difficult it would be for you to pull it up, but the preambulation that we did back last fall, is it possible you could just email me that paperwork?
Okay.
I'd like to take cut and paste a photo out of that if I can get it out
Okay.
for,
With New Boston that we did?
yeah.
Yeah, I think I have it.
Yeah, I think they emailed it to you, but I
Yeah.
think I got a hard copy and it's not that great. I don't know. You may have it better.
So if I send it to you though, you can, it depends on how, if the megapixel wasn't a great picture, you want
Yeah, I
a
don't know.
great
I mean,
picture.
yeah, I won't have a great decent.
But if I
picture.
send it to you, you're just gonna get, I mean, there's not much you can do to it,
No, no.
because it's a
the only-
PDF.
Yeah. Well, I can pull it out of PDF.
Okay, but it's still, if it's not,
Yeah,
if
if it's
the
not a great,
quality's not
yeah,
there,
if
it's
it's
gonna
not
be
there, it's
blurry.
not there, so.
I mean, I'll send it, you gotta make that
If it's
determination.
really crappy, then maybe I can just call into Boston and ask them to send me one picture. That's all I need.
Oh, yeah, she has a camera.
Yeah, she's.
That'd
got-
be the
she-
easiest,
Yeah,
because then you'd get it in JPEG
right. and then
versus
I
a
can just
PDF, and then you
Paste
can.
it in. That's all
right.
I want, is a small
Yeah,
picture
so
to
if
throw in
you
the
called,
newsletter.
the New
Laurel.
Boston and talked to Laura,
Yeah, Laura.
yeah, if you called her, that would be your best bet, and just
Okay,
tell her the picture
yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
Because she converted it to PDF, and you can't, once you do PDF this big, it's as blurry as blurry.
Yeah,
Well, if it's in a JPEG, it's in a photo form.
it's in a photo format,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll let you call her.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought about it because I've been working on that.
Any other business?
I got
No.
nothing.
That's it? No? Okay, on that then, I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. And Ricky, get well.
Be careful going